First of all, the two presidents have recognized that we have two new governments, and it's rooted in the foundation of democracy, the rule of law, and good governance. And they believe that's a good place to start. In recognition of that, we also recognize that we are small states. We have the same inherent challenges. We have the same developmental challenges, but we also have the same prospects for development. So with that in mind, we recognize that if we work closer together, we'll be able to improve the lives and the standard of living of both of our peoples. So we recognize that we have to work aggressively on advancing both of our countries. We want to do that within the ambit of our regional participation, but strengthening our bilateral engagements. Given the fact that we're both on the continent, we're both neighbors, we have the same topography, we have the same natural endowment, and added to that we have the prospects of oil and gas, adding much value to our economies. We recognize that diversification would be very important in how we manage our resources and revenues. So we're going to move aggressively as at September, mid-September, to reevaluate all of our programs that we've already had existing within the two ministries, and we're going to use that we're going to use that as our departure towards strengthening our future engagement. We expect that by October we will have our first meeting. At the policy level, we should have at least 2 meetings per year, but at the technical level, we'll have many other meetings. Minister Ramden and I will be working very closely with our technical teams within the two ministries so that we can advance all of the initiatives. We want to focus heavily on agriculture because, as you know, we believe that agriculture is still the bedrock of our economies. Value added in terms of agro-processing and so on. We want to make sure that the private sector within both countries are very much involved in collaborative efforts. That is why this morning breakfast we had the private sector representatives here, and they met with President Santokhi as well as Foreign Minister Ramden, and they had some healthy discussions. So we have to get our private sector involved because they will provide that stimulus. At our level, we'll be dealing with policy and facilitating, and that will provide the platform for the private sector to take the initiative. So we want to focus heavily on agriculture, infrastructure. Both presidents alluded to the fact that we're going to focus heavily on advancing the prospects of bridging the Quarantine River. We know that that will add a lot of value in terms of our economic efficiency and allow costs to go down, especially in terms of that link. So that is something that we'll be working assiduously on to ensure that we can get that project to a reality. We want to work on ICT collaboration as well as cyber security. That's a very important aspect confronting us at a global level. We're still both small. We still don't have the infrastructure to deal with cybersecurity, and we know that cybercrime is rampant globally. Even the first world countries are finding it difficult to deal with issues of cybercrime. We also will be focusing on anti-piracy. We know we've had a long battle dealing with piracy. Persons would have lost their lives, and that is something that we have to do. We have to protect property and life, and that is something that we'll be working on assiduously on with the security forces as well as the private sector. We also will be looking at the oil and gas sector to see how we can do our collaborations, especially in terms of training. As we all know that Guyana is somewhat deficient in terms of our ability to to grapple with the fast-moving pace in the oil and gas sector, and that is something that we have to work on together. The President's already alluded to the fact that we'll be collaborating on the local content, which will provide much-needed assistance to our private sector. And that is important to allow our citizens in both countries to benefit from the oil and gas sector. So I want to leave enough space as well for Foreign Minister Ramdin to add his voice as well. But all things being equal, we should have our first meeting October this year. This is just 2 months from now. So rest assured that we'll be working very hard to ensure that we can bring all of the development areas that we have so that we can complement each other. It's not meant to compete. It's meant for us to complement each other on the areas of interest so that we can bring satisfaction to both of our peoples. So with that said, I will allow Foreign Minister Ramdin to come and fill in the gaps.